Time. The ever-flowing river. Come with the snow to a time before man. Here on the lovely back lot of Universal Studios. To see giants roam the earth. My friends, my dear viewers, welcome to Jurassic Park. Okay, as you guys can tell, sorry, I am not at Universal Studios Hollywood, or Florida, or Japan, or Singapore, but regardless, I had to find the next best thing, which is Canada's Wonderland. And luckily, there's a couple of dinosaurs here. But regardless, let's take a look at the next installment of the Jurassic Park Legacy by taking a look at the Jurassic Park franchise in Universal Studios theme parks. With that said, what's the plot? Yep, since I covered Confrontation, Jaws, the E.T. Adventure, and Earthquake the Big One, it's about time I covered the next obvious classic at the Universal theme parks. And boy is this one a fun ride, filled with animatronic dinosaurs, jump scares, a fun water ride, and a badass looking jungle environment. So it's unclear where this takes place in the canon timelines, so I'll just say this still takes place in 1996 or something when the ride opened, and things go off and on.
Relax. Try and enjoy yourself.
The premise of Jurassic Park the Ride is quite simple. After the events of Isla Nublar in 1993, John Hammond offers to relocate Jurassic Park onto the mainland coasts at Universal theme parks.
Our Hollywood park is better than ever and incorporates safety features that will ensure a Costa Rica incident could never happen again.
While Hollywood and all the other parks got the deal, the biggest is located at Universal's Islands of Adventure, taking up almost 40% of the entire park. And for the most part, the parks are doing much better than the island preserves, whereas tourists may explore the magic and technology of John Hammond's dream fully realized. The Central E-tickets include encounters with trained raptors, some decent dining and activities, but the highlight is the all-new River Adventure, as the heart of this Jurassic Park, where all the central dinosaurs live in their natural habitat.
So you went from capitalist to naturalist in just 4 years.
And as guests encounter the wondrous likes of the Ultrasaurs, Stegosaurus, and loose compies, the tour boat is intercepted by a spooked Parasaurolophus, and it sets an accidental course into the raptor containment area, as suddenly things go horribly wrong. So wait, how the hell are things supposed to go horribly wrong if there's no Dennis Nedry to hack into the computers and screw everything up? Was security distracted or something that day?
Perhaps I should just make note that the Costa Rica operation shut down back in '93. You might recall the wee problem we experienced, only due, I might say, to sabotage.
Here at Jurassic Park, we've created the world's largest man-made living laboratory devoted solely to...
Why didn't Uncle Nedry ever work for Disneyland?
Bradley! Get back to work on the raptor containment area!
Fuck off, Jim. I'm doing my job.
He's Bradley, the laziest explorer at Jurassic Park!
Bradley!
So as the boat goes off course, tourists are attacked by the likes of caged raptors, Dilophosaurus spitting on guests with water rather than venomous tar because I guess they were devenomed to avoid lawsuits, and of course... Man, Barney is not taking that rumored closure too well. Some shit's going down, be ready for it! Nah, just kidding. It's the unseen T-Rex pushing a Ford Explorer over the edge. That, or it's the other set of guests on Back to the Future getting spit out by their T-Rex. It's probably the Zemeckis Cube logic.
Zemeckis Cube. Turns everything back in time, 60 seconds.
As this Zemeckis Gale diagram clearly shows.
But then comes the scariest part of the ride, as we enter a dark control facility and we're lifted to the top floor, encountering a pack of raptors. Or at least the Roger Corman raptors from Carnosaur, given their movements, but they'll do as we drop into the sounds of a larger threat as the T-Rex nearly bites us. Oh, come on, he just wants you to check to see if his teeth are clean. But As guests turn a corner towards the incoming waterfall, the T-Rex attacks again with a mighty roar, sending you down into a death-defying drop into soaking water. Although not seen, we can assume that the predatory dinosaurs were recaptured as you exit the ride unharmed and with warm welcomed returns as John Williams' theme sweeps through your exit into the gift shop. Jurassic Park, please don't sue our good payroll. We captured them all except for this guy. What a fucking asshole. So, what are my thoughts on this real Jurassic Park? Well, to be perfectly honest, this is honestly the closest and best goddamn thing to the real thing. You can tell how much Universal respects these areas of their park for the past 20 years of entertaining guests all over the world. And for anyone who wants a nostalgic trip back in time aside from the toys and video games, the Jurassic Park areas at Universal theme parks is the place to be with its attention to detail, its lush jungle environments and activities, and its incredible use of animatronic dinosaurs on the rides and guest areas. But before we dive into the gritty details of these rides, let's jump into a little history. As most might know, Jurassic Park the ride was in development long before the movie was in production. In fact, by the time Steven Spielberg became fascinated by his friend and author of the Jurassic Park novel Micheal Crichton's concept for dinosaurs and DNA, he was already storyboarding the novel for the screen as well as pitching to Universal Creative and making a dinosaur ride based on the material before the rights were even handed over to the studio.
We're gonna make a fortune with this place.
In fact, most of the concept art appeared in the movie that much early in development. Hell, Steven's first choice in creating the full-size animatronic dinosaurs was to go to Bob Gurr, who created the King Kong encounter back in 1986.
What do they got in there, King Kong?
However, Steven's demands were a little high for Bob Gurr.
I was very impressed with Bob Gurr and his creation at Universal Studios with King Kong, which basically is like a big inflatable balloon that moves with wonderful smoothness. You can actually see muscle tone moving underneath the fur. And so Bob Gurr and I had some initial conversations about making some of the dinosaurs full size. Matter of fact, I initially wanted to make all the dinosaurs full size, and that of course was just my wishful thinking. But that didn't work out. We were going to break some new ground, but it was going to be costly new ground.
We spared no expense.
Universal and Spielberg knew instantly the film would be a hit, and with the amount of merchandising they were pumping out of this thing, you'd think a ride would be done by the time the film came out. Well, not quite. Now yes, the movie was the biggest hit of all time at that point, but because the ride wasn't finished, Universal rushed some quick attractions to cope with the hype at both Universal's Hollywood and Florida, opening a small exhibit to guests showcasing props and costumes from the film. While Hollywood ultimately got the full deal of the ride in 1996, Florida was more or less stuck with some stationary props from the film left in the boneyard, like a bust replica of the full-size sick Triceratops, as well as a very impressive T-Rex attack photo op with the Ford Explorer. Hell, for kids, they had little Jurassic Park Jeep strollers.
Why didn't I build in Orlando?
As a kid visiting Universal Studios Florida in 1998, these pieces were wonderful to look at. And they scared the crap out of me.
Don't move. Can't see us if we don't move.
Well, anyway, going back a bit, the original Jurassic Park ride opened on June 21st, 1996, to a massive hype as well as received anticipation as the most successful ride for Universal Studios Hollywood, and it was such a huge hit that Universal Creative decided to build a second one at Islands of Adventure in 1999. And you want to see what Orlando got?
Live the adventure. Explore the real Jurassic Park, only at Universal's Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, it turns out Orlando got more space than Hollywood.
You mean there are two islands with dinosaurs?
All right, you stay out of it.
Unlike Hollywood acting more as a movie set when it comes to the ride, Orlando, much like Kong, got the better deal, with the island off the coast of Costa Rica, taking up almost half the park. Not only is the ride a wonderful clone of the original, but it expands to other rides and attractions, including rock climbing, fairground games, a great pizza stand, the incredibly impressive Camp Jurassic and Pteranodon flyers, but also a full recreation of the original Jurassic Park Visitor Center from the film. Whenever I visited the park, I'd always end up spending half my days in the Jurassic area. The Visitor Center is straight out of the movie, from the educational programs with Mr. DNA, the dining area, the egg room with an animatronic baby raptor, and, I'm not kidding, the original screen-used prop dinosaur skeletons from the film. Not gonna lie, that alone is worth the price of admission to the visitor center.
We're out of a job. Don't you mean extinct?
Now, one attraction that has since been forgotten that opened up at the same time was the Triceratops encounter, as you are able to interact with a full-scale animatronic Triceratops. But it was later completely abandoned due to hurricane weather damaging the internal structures, and to this day, it still lays dormant like the old visitor center from Jurassic World. But thankfully, very recently, the area has been getting cleaned up for a future attraction, and they replaced the attraction with a smaller raptor encounter based on the new movies where you can take a photo with a trained velociraptor. I gotta admit, the effect is pretty rad, and they don't shy away from scaring the kids. Also, just recently, the raptor suit was replaced with blue, and holy crap, what an improvement! The animatronic suit in this version looks much more accurate, and even has blinking eyes, which is a major plus. You see, Universal? You can still use animatronics in close-ups rather than the CGI used in the total of Jurassic World, and still get the emotion across. You'd be surprised how much more you can get out of it. Other great attractions in the park include multiple photo ops with several of the classic dinosaurs from the movies. The Florida T-Rex photo op was relocated to Islands of Adventure, and this one angle inspired several knockoffs to produce, including shitty Asylum ripoffs. God, I thought I saw visions of one of the worst dinosaur movies I've ever seen in my life. Well, thankfully, nobody got killed during my violent mental breakdown. Anyway, both Hollywood and Florida have a stationary photo op with the Spinosaurus, and I'll admit I felt Hollywood has the better bust. Which makes me wonder what kind of Spinosaurus attraction they got at Universal Studios Japan. Damn it, Japan, you got Jaws and Terminator 2 and now that? Come on, Florida, step up your A game here.
We need more teeth.
Well, since we're on the subject, let's quickly talk about the Jurassic Parks on the other side of the world. In March 2001, Universal Studios Japan opened in the Far East to great success, and Jurassic Park was one of the major e-tickets with a replica of the Orlando ride. The only difference is that everything is mirrored, which is interesting. It also has the Pteranodon roller coaster, which is also pretty cool. They were also an inspiration for the US parks to include dino suit attractions with the raptors and even an impressive Triceratops suit. Universal Singapore, however, is a totally different beast. The park is titled The Lost World, which is interesting, but it's mostly due to it being a setting for both Jurassic Park and the Waterworld stunt show. There is a roller coaster with the same impressive set pieces here and there, however the Jurassic Park ride here is totally different, this time labeled the Jurassic Park Rapids Adventure. Basically, think this, but with dinosaurs. It's basically a cross between the original ride and the Popeye Rapids at Islands of Adventure. However, some of the animatronics are stiff and it's hard to appreciate the sights when the raft continues to spin around. It's overall an okay ride, but feels a little lackluster. And speaking of lackluster, it looks like that's where we're heading with Jurassic Park at Universal Studios Hollywood. Okay, this unfortunately was not part of the plan to cover when these were being written, but on September 3rd, 2018, the original Jurassic Park ride at Universal Studios Hollywood closed the gates for the final time to be updated to Jurassic World the Ride. While I'm happy that the ride is indeed getting a full upgrade with new and improved dinosaur animatronics, I'm also sad to see this one go. I mean, aside from the King Kong encounter 10 years prior, this was the original ride that lit the fire for guests to finally step off Disney property and enter the magic of movies at Universal. Without this ride, there wouldn't have been one in Florida, Japan, or even Singapore. There's no word yet if Florida or the other parks will be getting the same treatment, but my guess is that in a couple of years they will follow suit. So try to get down to the Florida one while you got the time. I can't even tell you how many times on vacation I would spend half my day at Universal just at Jurassic Park. It's just that good. Overall, Jurassic Park the Ride is a groundbreaking achievement for not only Universal, but for the entire theme park industry with its exotic design, incredible environments, and outstanding special effects and animatronics. It's full of awe, has good suspense and scary moments, but also captures the pure magic of the films perfectly, which is why I'm giving it a solid 10 out of 10. It's a wonderful ride, and overall, makes you feel like you stepped onto the real Jurassic Park. And while it may be closing, it'll still remain one of the best attractions in Universal Studios Hollywood. So while we have explored the expanded lore of the Jurassic Park franchise with toys and video games, tune in next time when we enter a new era with the 5th installment in the Jurassic Park franchise. So, pilot, who is in no way going to die due to unforeseen circumstances, where are we heading next?
We have a landing strip up ahead. You want me to put it down?
Nah, it's okay. I want to head home and... Wait, what?
Oh my God!
Oh, no! This is Jack to SS Jackson Knight. Do you copy?
We copy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna require an immediate rescue. I'm sending you the coordinates to the black box.
What happened?
Plane crashed by an unidentified flying creature.
Rodan?
No, something smaller, about a 12-meter wingtip.
10-4, we copy. We're sending a distress signal now. Where the fuck are you at?
I believe I've stepped into a fallen kingdom.